Hey guys, Andrew McFarland here from StartAJuiceBar.com. Hope you guys are happy and healthy. I have a very exciting announcement. Today we are doing something brand new called Juice News. This is a segment that I'm going to be just experimenting with and testing out. So I'd love to hear your comments after this video if this is something that you want to see more of. But my intention is to really share news happening in the juice business and juice industry. Things that are relevant. Maybe it could be, new equipment that's coming out, other things that are happening with other juice companies. And today we're going to be talking about Juiceland. If you don't know Juiceland, they're a popular juice business in Austin, Texas. In that area, I think they have a few locations in Dallas, over 30 locations. A great portion of their staff has gone on strike with labor demands and wanting to improve working conditions. So we're going to talk about that and so much more, what my thoughts are on the situation, what I would do if I was in the position of the business owners, and more. But before I dive into that, if you guys are new to the channel and you don't know who I am or what we do, over the last decade, myself and our company has had the pleasure of supporting hundreds of entrepreneurs all over the world launch and scale successful juice concepts, smoothie concepts, acai bowl businesses, and so much more, as well as running our own businesses in this arena. So all the information on this channel is coming from that experience. Early invitation to press the like button, subscribe to the channel. If you're not subscribed, hit the notification bell. We're releasing content regularly so you can stay informed, empowered to grow your business, help your community, help the world become healthier, and more. So let's dive in. As I mentioned, Juiceland. Now, this is a company that is quite popular in the Austin, Texas area. They have a number of locations, and their workers, a number of them, not all of them, which is actually a pretty interesting part of this entire story, a number of their workers have gone on strike, forcing them to close down a number of locations. So I found an article here from Estonia.com that says Juiceland employees organize for pay increase and better working conditions. Okay. Now, it goes on to say that some Juiceland production facility workers and storefront employees are organizing to demand wage increases, better working conditions, including air conditioning in the warehouse and pay transparency, among other asks. They are also calling on staff to strike and customers to boycott the Austin-based company until their demands are met. Juiceland responded because they obviously are seeing what's happening and saying that in an Instagram post that we are listening. The company wrote that Juiceland crew will now make a guaranteed $15 an hour or more company-wide. Now, it's interesting because after they posted this, there is an Instagram page that is completely dedicated to just the workers that are wanting to go on strike and the demands that they're making. So this is Juiceland Workers' Rights Instagram. If you go to their profile, you'll notice that even after the Juiceland, corporate head said that they were going to meet the demands of the employees for $15 an hour, they actually came back and said, you know what, this isn't enough, okay? And there's a post that says why the $15 guarantee is not a solution to our demands. Now, Juiceland, what it says in their Instagram post is Juiceland recently posted on their stories that they email all employees in the company about the $15 an hour guarantee at the shop, which they will not accept. They are fighting for a $15 an hour base rate. So the current system at Juiceland apparently is one where they are saying that if including whatever your hourly wages plus your tips, if that doesn't come out to be more than $15 an hour, then they're going to raise your pay. But the people who are working for Juiceland are saying that's not going to work. We need a base rate of $15 an hour plus tips. Now, the interesting thing is, as I was reading more in depth, it seems like there is a little bit of a divide in the Juiceland employee strike, because not all of the employees at all locations are up for this strike. And so some locations have shut down. It seems like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They've had about roughly 8 locations that have had to close down due to the strike. Like I said before, they have somewhere around 30 locations. So while this is not an insignificant amount, it's not something that's going to decimate their entire sales across the entire business. Now, it is interesting that they are not all on board for this strike. So I want to talk a little bit about, my perspective on this, what I would do if I was in the situation for the, as a business owner, which a lot of you guys are on this channel or aspiring business owners. and to also understand a little bit more about employee psychology and minimum wage psychology, because I know this is something that we always talk about collectively as a society. And I think when you become an entrepreneur and become a business owner, it might change your perspective a little bit depending on where you stand on all these things. So the first thing that I want to say is that the employees are going to have as much leverage in this situation as it's going to really impact Juiceland's bottom line in the short term and in the long term, right? So when you have 30 locations and only 8 have closed down because of the employees going on strike, that's a different situation than if 15 have closed down or all of them have closed down because of solidarity within the employees. Now, the employees have a challenge in this situation because they don't likely have other income that they can count on. So going on strike is not an easy thing to do, right? If you're not a salaried employee or you're not in a situation where you're working and you're getting paid hourly, how long can you afford to not work before you have to make some, adjustments to your life and get another job, or just be willing to accept what you have? It's interesting too, because on the thread of the Instagram post, if you actually end up going on their Instagram, you'll notice that some people in the community in the comments are saying, hey, look, if you don't want to work for the amount that they've offered, you can get a job somewhere else. There's plenty of people who might be willing, like high school and college age kids who are looking for jobs, that would be more than happy to take your job from you at the rate that they're offering, which is an interesting perspective as well. So right now, Juiceland is in an interesting situation because I'm sure they're looking at what the potential economic impact of this situation is and what they're going to do. Another thing too that's very unique about this circumstance is that Juiceland is not, it's not the biggest juice company in the world, but they're also not a small business with 30 plus locations. They might have in the range of thousands of employees. They are going to have a different financial circumstance than if you were in a situation where you had one storefront and all your employees went on strike and you maybe couldn't afford to pay them $15 an hour all across the board as a base rate plus tips, right? Because your bottom line is going to be heavily impacted from one store, whereas with a company that has 30 stores or more, they can still increase their labor, and while their bottom line percentage will go down, they still will have a little bit more of a buffer to keep the company profitable because of the scale that it's existing at. This is why oftentimes in the minimum wage conversations, when they're happening collectively, they oftentimes hurt mom and pop shops and companies with very, very small storefronts, small businesses as a whole, because larger companies, while they don't want minimum wage to get raised, they also know it becomes somewhat of an advantage to them because they have the really benefit of scale. Small companies don't have that benefit of scale. They are much, much more impacted. Now, my perspective on minimum wage and all these other things in general, just to share it with you, is that oftentimes people don't realize that the amount of money that someone makes is really only as valuable as their purchasing power. Oftentimes what happens is when minimum wage goes up, these prices are then transferred in a certain duration of time over to consumers. So the cost of living will go up in other areas as well. And it's sort of one of, obviously, economies are a very dynamic thing, and they flow and they ebb in different areas at different times. And so while one thing might be beneficial temporarily, other elements might catch up to it. It might take 6 months, a year, a couple of years before those things start to show themselves. But oftentimes these prices get passed along to consumers. So it's not just about how much someone makes per hour, obviously, as we should know. It's really about how much their money can buy them. Inflation is going to have an impact. Taxes are going to have an impact. The economy as a whole is a circular thing, meaning all aspects of it connect to one another. And if you just focus on minimum wage as one element of it, it might be one that people feel like they have the most influence over, but it's not the thing at the end of the day that's really always going to improve people's economic situation. So for me, looking as a business owner, it's a very interesting thing because you always want to make sure you do what's good for your employees, because what's good for your employees is good for the business. But employees and business owners have somewhat of a collaborative and adversarial relationship because employees oftentimes want to work the least amount of hours as possible and get the most amount of money as possible. I don't blame employees for that. I don't blame anybody for that. I understand that's human nature. And at the same time, as a business owner, you oftentimes want to save as much money as possible, right? So that your bottom line is working for you. It's why you get into business as an entrepreneur, oftentimes for many reasons, but one of them is so you can be profitable as a company and sustainable. And so finding that equilibrium and that balance can be a challenging thing to find at different times. What do I think is going to happen in this Juiceland situation? Honestly, I don't know. I think that what's probably going to happen, and what I would do if I was in their situation, is I would look at our profit and loss statements across the board. I would actually analyze and say, you know what, if this is what we can reasonably afford, and this is what we feel like is a good market rate for people coming into this job, what feels fair, right? What is meaningful in terms of the culture of our business, and like I said, what we can afford. And based on that, make a wise decision that's compassionate and considerate, but also has to make sense for the business. Because the other thing that a lot of times people don't realize is that if your business suffers and struggles and you go out of business, then guess what? You don't have any employees. Nobody wins. So at the end of the day, you have to do what makes sense for the community, for your employees, because obviously what's good for them is good for your business, because they're going to stick around. Hopefully you'll have higher quality employees and people being attracted to your business. But simultaneously, you have to analyze that with what does that mean to the profitability of your company and the sustainability of your company in order to make sure you stay in business so that your community is supported, your employees are supported, your business and everybody else who works in the corporate team is supported, and everybody wins. And so to me, that's part of being a good entrepreneur, is really taking the full picture into account so that you can make educated decisions that hopefully are beneficial to the entire world. And sometimes it means that, and not to say that there's a perfect solution ever, because it's life, but you do your best to consider the people around you, to make it worth their while, to make it worth the company's while, and everybody else that's impacted. So I'll keep you updated if there's any other things that develop with this story that seem interesting and worth sharing. Like I said earlier on, if you guys are interested in this kind of content, we're going to be doing research on all things that are happening in the industry. Like I said, different equipment that might be coming out, different reviews, things that will empower you and inform you as a business owner and someone who's getting into the business. So comment below if you want to see more of these kinds of videos. If you haven't pressed the like button yet, press the like button. Any questions or comments, also, you know where that goes. Follow us on Instagram at StartAJuiceBar. And lastly, if you like podcasts, we have a podcast called the Juice Bar Experts Podcast on iTunes, on Spotify. Reach out to us there. Until next time, this is Andrew McFarland with StartAJuiceBar.com. If you need support developing any aspect of your business, reach out to me personally at Andrew at StartAJuiceBar.com. Happy to see how we can support you going from where you are to wherever you want to be. We have a full team. Happy to help. Until next time, wishing you guys a lot of success. See you soon. Hope you guys have been enjoying the video content. If you are inspired to launch your juice business, but you're not exactly sure what steps to take, for you, we've created a free ebook, 15 Steps to Starting a Juice Business from Scratch. This is going to give you a high-level overview of everything you need to do from where you are now all the way to opening your business. Now, if you want to go even deeper, we've created an online course, the Juice Bar Master Blueprint. This is going to go into great detail into every aspect of starting your business, everything from branding to menu development to finding the right location, the equipment that you need, and so much more, all the way to launching your business. There's links for both of these in the description below. I know you're going to find a lot of value out of them. As always, hope you guys are happy and healthy, wishing you a lot of success, and I'll see you at the next video.